Hi everyone, welcome to another one of my videos. This is for Engage New York, Module 2, Lesson 1, Division of a Fraction by a Whole Number. Our goal after this lesson is to learn to divide a fraction by a whole number. In order to do this, we need to be able to write the division problems from words, identify the reciprocal of the whole number, multiply by the reciprocal of the whole number, and simplify our answer if needed. Not all of them will need to be simplified. We're going to be working through some of these examples and exercises, and then there'll be a separate video with the problem set on this one. Okay? We're going to go ahead and start working through these and talk about what the reciprocal is. We'll introduce what the reciprocal is, talk about that, and talk about how we use it to divide whole number or divide fractions by a whole number. Let's go ahead and go on to this first one here, okay? So let's go ahead on our problem here. So you have 3/4 of a gallon of batter is poured equally in 2 bowls. How many gallons of batter are in each bowl? So we have this diagram here to help us represent 3/4 of a gallon of batter. So basically we're going to take this batter and we're going to split it evenly into, so we're going to split this evenly into 2 bowls. And then it asks how much is each bowl. So if we look right down here, how much is in each bowl would be represented by what's in one of these parts down here. So this is how much would be in one bowl. So from the diagram, you can see how much is in one of the bowls, and this is all related to the whole, and that's what we need to keep in context is what the whole. So now each one of these little pieces, they were fourths and now they become eighths. So we're looking at 3/8 is what's going to be in each one of the bowls. Now we can do a diagram for this one fairly easily, but let's look at mathematically what's going on. So let's go to the next slide here where I have a little bit more diagrams here. So let's take a look at this, okay? So we have the same diagrams here, similar diagrams, but let's take a look at what's going on. So we're dividing it in 2. Another way we can divide it by 2 is the same as multiplying something by 1/2, because we just want half of it. And if we multiply something by half is the same as dividing it by 2. And what I want to talk about is reciprocals. The reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. And what a reciprocal is a flipped fraction. And 2 may not look like a fraction, but remember, any whole number we can put over 1 and it's still a whole number. And then once we flip that, we end up with 1/2. So the reciprocal of 2 over 1 is 1/2. So we just say the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. Because any whole number can be put over 1. So when we find the reciprocal of it, it's just going to be 1 over the whole number. And that will work for any whole number because any whole number can be put over 1. So the reciprocal of it is just 1 over that whole number. And look what happens when we multiply these out. We just end up with, remember when we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. And 4 times 2 is 8. So we end up with 3/8 as our answer. So we end up with a division problem. First of all, we write it as a division problem, but then we change it to a multiplication problem. We're going to be doing that a lot when we're dividing with fractions, changing it to a multiplication problem. We find an equivalent multiplication problem that we can do. Okay? And that's what we did right here. We found an equivalent multiplication problem that we could do. So multiplying by the reciprocal of 2 gave us an equivalent multiplication problem. We end up with 3/8. So that's how much of the batter is in each bowl. Let's look at another problem here, okay? This one, okay? 3/4 pan of lasagna is shared equally among 6 friends. So they're taking this pan and they are splitting it, so it's 3/4 of a pan of lasagna. They're splitting it up into 6 equal pieces. So we could divide it up into 6 equal pieces, but again, that'd be the same as timesing it by 1/6. And we talked about that reciprocal. Whoops. So the reciprocal of, 6 over 1, the reciprocal of that is 1/6. And that's what we have here is the reciprocal of that. So even though we're dividing it by 6, our reciprocal is 1/6. So let's look at the next slide I have here. So again, we have our reciprocals here. And as we just perform that multiplication, we end up with this equals 3 times 1 is 3, and 4 times 6 is 24, and that one will simplify down to where we end up with, we want to simplify it down to, they end up with 3 goes into 24 8 times, so we end up with 1/8. So they each have 1/8 of lasagna. So you don't see that as much from this diagram, but they do end up with 1/8 of the lasagna of the original that was there. Okay. All right. So again, it's multiplying by that. So multiplying by the reciprocals. Again, the reciprocal of 6 over 1 is 1/6. Okay. Let's go for another one here. Okay, so this one, the rope of, so we have a rope length of 2/5 meters is cut into 4 pieces. So we're dividing that into 4 pieces. This one we don't need to do a diagram. Let's just go ahead and do our division problem. So we do need to divide, so we're taking 2/5 and we're dividing that into 4 equal pieces. What is the length of each chord? So that's what we need to figure out. The length of each chord then will be equal to 2/5 times the reciprocal of 4, which is 1/4. So that would give us 2/20, which we could reduce down to 1/10. Reduce these down if you can. Divide them both by 2 and reduce those down. Okay, so simplify these down. If you don't simplify them right now, we're going to spend more time simplifying in the next section. But if you know how to reduce them down, what we did is we both divided this one by 2 and that one by 2 because 2 went into both of those. So we divide them both by 2 and we end up with 1/10. It's that giant 1 idea we talked about. Okay. So we wrote it as a story problem. Remember, writing it as a division problem, multiplying by the reciprocal. So our reciprocal of 4 is 1/4, and then simplifying we can. That was our success criteria. Now some of these don't give you a story problem. Some of these are just going to have you work it out. So that's what this one is. And you're just going to write the equivalent problem. So we end up with, this is equal to 1/4 times the reciprocal of 5, which is 1/5. So that would be 1/20, and that one won't reduce. So that's all you do on that one. Okay, so just multiplying by the reciprocal. Again, these are reciprocals of each other. So the reciprocal of 5 is 1/5. Reciprocal of 5 is 1/5. Okay. Let's go on to this next one here. Okay, same thing. We just write our equivalent multiplication problem. So we end up with 3/5 times the reciprocal of 5 again is 1/5. So we end up with 3/25. That one won't reduce either again. Reciprocals. Reciprocals 5 is 1/5. We just put a 1 over that and flip the fraction. Reciprocal is just a flipped fraction. So we put a 1 under the whole number and flip it, and we end up with 1/5. Okay. Got one more here we want to try. Okay. So this last one, again, let's go ahead and do it here. And I'm going to go ahead and just put this. So this is really 1/5 divided by 4/1. We can always do that with a whole number. So that is 1/5 times the reciprocal of 4/1, which is 1/4. And we end up with 1/20. Okay, you should be able to do these. If you have any questions, work on the problem set, and there will be a video to check the problem set, but you should be able to do this problem set without any problem. Work your way through it. Let me know if you have any questions. There should be a video available to help you check this, but let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day. Bye.